All right, let's dive into a book that's pretty much become a legend in Silicon Valley and for leaders everywhere. The Hard Thing About Hard Things. It's by Ben Horowitz, a guy who really went through the ringer during the dot-com crash, and then co-founded one of the most powerful venture capital firms out there, Andreessen Horowitz. So you know he's seen it all.
Right away, you can tell this book is different. You know how most business books kind of give you these neat, tidy formulas for success? Well, this book is about what to do when there is no formula. It's for when the answers aren't in a textbook and you're staring down problems that just feel impossible. And this quote right here, this is the core of the whole thing. What Horowitz is hammering home is this idea of radical honesty. It's about looking at the cold, hard facts, even when every single part of you wants to spin a happy story for your team or your investors. It's not about being negative, not at all. It's about being a stone-cold realist.
So, where does this journey into reality even start? Well, for Horowitz, it all begins with something he calls the struggle. And trust me, this isn't just about having a tough week. It's a deep, personal, internal battle.
This struggle, it's that feeling deep in your gut when your grand vision is crumbling and you're questioning every single decision you've ever made. But here's the key thing Horowitz makes so clear. This feeling isn't a sign that you're failing or doing something wrong. Nope. It's just an unavoidable part of the process of building something that matters.
So how in the world do you get through it? Well, he shares some absolutely critical lessons. First, share your burdens. You can't be the hero carrying the weight of the world alone. You've got to build a team you can be brutally honest with. Next, think like a chess player, always looking 3, 4, 5 moves ahead, not just putting out today's fire. The whole game is to survive long enough to find that next opportunity. I mean, Horowitz himself lived this. His company LoudCloud was about to go under, but he pivoted it into Opsware and later sold it for over $1 billion. And maybe the most important lesson of all, don't take the failure personally. You have to see it as part of the journey, a step you have to take to build true, lasting resilience.
Okay, so you've wrestled with your own demons. Now what about all the external stuff? That brings us to our next big section, actually managing the hard things inside the business. And it all starts with your people.
This is such a simple but incredibly powerful philosophy. And the order is everything. You take care of your people, right? Then they'll be fired up to build amazing products. And guess what? Amazing products are what bring in the profits. He argues that if you try to flip that order around, you're just setting yourself up for failure.
He also has some really wild, unconventional techniques. Get this. To solve a massive conflict between two departments that were basically at war, he used what he called the Freaky Friday method. Yeah, just like the movie. He made the heads of the two departments literally switch jobs for a while. It forced them to walk in each other's shoes, and it created a level of empathy that 1,000 meetings never could.
And that story perfectly illustrates one of the toughest balancing acts a leader has to pull off. Horowitz tells this story about a software engineer who was late on a project, but the reason for the delay was that the engineer found and fixed this huge architectural flaw that would have totally crippled the company down the road. The point is, holding people accountable is absolutely essential, but you also have to leave room for those creative risks that don't always fit on a neat and tidy schedule.
His advice on hiring is just as real-world and practical, especially when it comes to hiring a big-time executive. First, he says the CEO has to personally understand deep down what the job actually requires. You can't just hand that off. Second, you have to be painfully clear about expectations from day one. Define what success looks like, but also what failure looks like. And third, you can't just toss them into the chaos. You have to actively integrate them and help them adapt to your company's unique culture.
And all of this leads to what might be the most famous idea in the whole book, this concept that leadership isn't just one thing. The style you need completely depends on the situation your company is in.
So you have to ask yourself this question. Is your company in a period of relative calm and growth? Or is it literally fighting for its life? Because believe me, that answer changes everything about how you should lead.
See, in peacetime, a CEO can focus on big picture stuff. Growth, innovation, delegating, empowering the team. You follow the rules. But in wartime, when you're staring down a threat that could kill the company, a new competitor, a market crash, the job totally changes. The focus shrinks to one thing: survival. Decisions get made from the top, and they're fast and decisive. You might have to throw the standard rulebook out the window. Knowing which mode you're in and being able to switch is absolutely critical.
So, after all this incredible advice on psychology, on management, on leadership, what's the final takeaway? Well, it's a tough one. There are no easy answers.
Horowitz calls it the principle of no silver bullets.
Man, that's one of the most powerful lines in any business book ever. What he's saying is, there's no magic trick, there are no secret formulas, no silver bullets that are going to magically solve your hardest problems. There are only lead bullets, the hard, messy, painful work of making tough choices and then seeing them through.
And that brings us to the final, haunting question that Horowitz leaves us with. The real test of a leader isn't choosing between a good option and a bad one. Anyone can do that. The real test is when you're looking at the board and every single move you can make looks awful, and you still have to find the guts and the clarity to make a move. That right there is the hard thing about hard things.